On this episode of America Open for Business, I've been joined by Chynna Morgan, who is the founder of GIF Out Loud.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to learn more, for you to learn more about my company.
All right, so you call it, I guess, GIF Out Loud. What is GIF Out Loud?
So GIF Out Loud is we work with brands and music artists to develop interactive and shareable experiences using GIFs and music during live events and brand activations. So it looks like kind of like a kiosk where we create GIF Out Loud kiosks and we develop any type of experience for you to engage with your fans and amplify your brand's voice.
So I want to make sure I understand. Are you guys positioned as essentially a creative agency, or are you guys providing a system that is just simply turnkey?
So we're actually an experiential technology company, but our product is a GIF Out Loud kiosk that we customize depending on your experience or depending on your brand activation.
So walk us through an example of what this would look like.
Yeah, so for example, if you are a music artist and you're at a music festival and you're trying to get your sound, your music in the hands of your fans, we would create a platform that allowed your guests to create shareable content, for example, GIFs, and they could go through your music library and add the perfect song to their GIF, and they could share it on social media. The whole time you're capturing the data, such as phone numbers and emails, to keep in contact with your fans, and then you're also watching your music amplified on social media by them sharing it during the event.
All right, so much like they have kiosks for, let's say, photo booth, this is a kiosk for creating audio as well as GIFs that pertains to that particular brand.
Uh-huh.
They create it on the spot. And how do they actually receive it? Do they receive it via email or is it Bluetooth?
Yeah, so they can receive it via email or through text messaging. And then once they put that into the iPad, the brand or the artist gets to collect that data for future marketing opportunities.
Okay.
But we also develop VR and AR experiences also. It just
All right.
really depends on the activation or the experience you want to develop.
Okay, so I just want to go back to the kiosk again. So a kiosk it's a way to engage that audience, but also it's a way to be able to have double opt-in to basically get them registered onto their
Yes,
platform, right?
yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the AR. So tell me about AR. What exactly are you referring to here?
So we also develop VR, AR experiences. So whether that's you wanting to have a customized GIF Aloud app, and we send your consumer's headset, and they're able to interact with your experience and interact with your sonic identity through that experience, or whether that's an AR experience and you want them to have different like customization characters that are on their GIF. It really just depends on kind of the experience the brand wants to create. But we can also implement that technology into our platform as well.
So does that mean that you have to have a compatible asset, or that they're having to run a particular type of application within the AR VR systems in order to interact with your objects?
So right now, because of the whole COVID, a lot of our activations and brand and live events are on pause. So we're figuring out a way, how can we create these experiences for brands where they're able to engage with their consumers in their homes? So a lot of the times what we're thinking about doing right now is creating a VR experience where we supply the VR headset, and we send it to the brand's consumers' homes, and they're able to interact in their home with the brand's live experience using the headset. So that would be separate from the kiosk, because we kind of had to do a little pivot because of the COVID.
Okay, so I want to make sure it's really well understood in terms of VR headset. So the brand, the sponsor,
Mhm.
is having some sort of virtual event, maybe a concert,
Uh-huh.
and they're willing to actually provide the VR headset without charge to their user base. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, so it depends on the brand. Sometimes the consumer will have to pay for that experience. Usually they have to pay for that experience. And once they pay for that experience, the headset comes with that experience that they're paying for.
Got it.
So it's not free on the on the brand side.
Okay.
Um,
So it's essentially, instead of paying for a concert ticket, you're purchasing a virtual experience ticket that happens to have the VR headset.
yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So walk me through that kind of use case again. So they're listening to a concert, and then during the concert, what's happening in terms of your services and your solution?
So what we really do as GIF Out Loud is we want to create experiences that connects your audience with your sonic identity, whether that's your sound, whether that's your music, because we feel that's the most powerful way to connect with your audience. So whatever experience we create, whether it's a VR experience, we always want to make sure we have certain sound identity tunes that allows your audience to remember your brand because of that sound. So whether it's, for example, if we're doing a VR experience and it's a music festival, we will have different music and different sounds to engage them throughout the whole journey that they're experiencing the music festival with. So like I said, it really just depends on the brand and kind of what they want to develop. We could develop any type of design, any type of experience, but each experience includes, your audience engaging with your sound.
Now, in the VR experience, can the user actually create something, or they're just simply interacting with something that's already prepackaged?
Yeah, they're simply just interacting with something that's prepackaged.
Okay.
So it's completely different from our kiosks that's usually at live events. And because of the whole COVID, like I said, we had to kind of pivot and figure out how could we create these experiences to still engage with audience using the brand sound.
Okay. Tell us about kind of the copyright issues around the sound, the audio portions, as well as the GIFs. Where are you sourcing? How are you, addressing the copyright and trademark issues?
Yeah, so in terms of music, we have audio branding strategists on our team that are able to create brands their own sonic identity or their own tune that they can use. So if a brand comes to us and they don't have a sound, we can develop them their own customized sound for their brand. But a lot of the times, brands already kind of have a sound they want to use, and they already kind of have like the copyright issues handled already. So we're just going to be implementing that sound into the platform. But if copyright issues arise, we kind of already have a team that creates sonic identities.
Okay. So,
Um,
so basically, either the brand sponsor handles all that from a legal and procurement aspects,
mhm.
and or they work with you to create something that's unique and customized so it doesn't infringe upon any type of copyright or patents.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
got it.
Yeah.
Um, for the remaining time that we have, again, I think it would be great if you can get more concrete. Can you walk us through maybe an actual couple of events where these two types of solutions were implemented, just so
Yeah.
the listeners can get a better feel for it,
Yeah.
including the artists or the brands involved, and the kinds of GIFs and audios that you guys deploy.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the activation that we did with Shell and Pennzoil. They reached out to us to create a customized GIF Out Loud platform for the Formula One event in Canada. So what they really wanted to do was they wanted to amplify their brand on social media from the event, but they wanted to engage their guests during the event with their like techno race car sound to resemble the race car drivers. So we created a platform that allowed their guests to interact with the kiosks. They're able to tap the screen and create branded Shell and Pennzoil GIFs. And then once they created their personalized GIFs, Shell and Pennzoil sound was already automatically added to their content. And then they were just able to share it from the kiosk to social media. And how they were able to share it was they were able to input either the email or phone number into the kiosk. And then their GIF Out Loud video was automatically sent to them. And then they shared it on social media. And
So let me just pause you there for a second. In terms of engagements, because again, it's all around experiential side, right? So can you give some metrics around how many people actually interact with the kiosk, how many assets were created, and the kinds of shares or engagement on social media with those assets?
So for a lot of times when we work with brands, we can't really disclose any of their metrics that they have for their activation. So it's kind of hard to say, but it was thousands of people that were interacting with the kiosks because there's thousands of people at the Formula One event. But in terms of how many shares they received via email or text messages, I'm not able to disclose. I wish I could, but I'm not able to disclose that.
Okay. My follow-up question, and then hopefully you have an example for the VR or AR side as well, is why have a kiosk? Why not have something that integrates with the actual event app, or have your own app so that you don't need a physical hardware?
I think one reason for that is because people love interacting at live events. And a lot of times when you go to live events and you ask for an app, not everyone has the same platform, not everyone downloads the app. And once they see a kiosk there, everyone goes to it, especially if it has a ring light, people want to take pictures. So it's a great way for brands to create this engagement on, during their live events that could kind of get their audience excited about coming to that music venue or coming to the activation, because then they know they could create this fun content that they could share on social media. So I think there's nothing more important than creating experiences during live events. That's different than them just downloading an app or just, creating content on their phone.
Interesting perspective. And do you have an AR or VR example that you can walk us through?
Yeah, so actually we're still kind of implementing the VR experience. Because of the COVID-19, that's just something that we've been working on and proposing to brands that are trying to create an experience right now. But I could give you like a mock example that we're working on. We wanted to, a lot of the times because of the COVID, people can't go outside. So we're like, what if we're able to kind of bring the experience in the home where people can engage with your brand, at home with their family and friends and be able to share. So the idea was to work with brands to send kind of like a care package from the brand that includes, products from the brand and also an AR headset that they could interact with. And with the AR headset, what would happen is that we could kind of create an experience that allows the audience to learn more about that brand, to maybe experience past concerts that brand put on before, and kind of just like create this engagement, immersive experience that allows them to kind of look back at past experiences and how they were there and kind of feel like they're still in the gist of going to live events. Mm-hmm. So we just wanted to create something that kind of brought people back to how they were when we were able to go outside and we're able to go to Coachella, we're able to, go to music festivals.
Okay. How did you get into this field? And it looks like you have some sort of creative agency background and activation and campaign background. So can you share a little bit about your prior experience?
Yeah, so actually I was getting my master's in healthcare management. And then I had the idea of, you know how people don't really talk on the phone anymore, all they do is text. So I said, what if we're able to add our voice, our music to GIFs to communicate, and so that people could really understand what we're really trying to say. We could really convey our true emotions. So GIF Out Loud started off as a B2C platform. It was an app, like a keyboard. And when you're texting your family and friends, you're able to add your voice, our music to your GIFs and then send it through text messages or onto social media. And then a year into doing that, that's when Shell and Pennzoil reached out to us. And next we could create them their own version for the Formula One event. So in my mind, I'm like, this is a great way for us to kind of pivot again, where we're able to kind of work with these big brands to create these immersive experiences using sound. And that's kind of when we transitioned from our B2C platform to now just strictly working with brands and music labels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And curious, in this time period of COVID quarantine, and it's starting to kind of thaw a little bit here, what kind of level of activity are you seeing with brands for something like this?
So, there's two different type of brands. There are brands that are laying very low right now because they still kind of don't know what to do. They don't know how to get back into engaging with their audience. And then there's brands that are on the top of everything and trying to figure out these cool ideas on how they can still engage. So with the brands that are still wanting to create these engaging experiences, we've been connecting with them on LinkedIn and just reaching out to see how we can help during this time, whether that's creating a web app or creating VR experiences or kind of, scheduling for when they do come back in early 2021, how can we create these experiences for them, and kind of have this brainstorming session during this time on how we can help amplify their brand once everything is back to normal or back to the new normal.
So in terms of the latter camp that you talked about, in terms of brands want to stay on top and still want to engage through the COVID quarantine as well as the recession, how are you identifying which brands are the ones that's going to be the ones that's interested in staying engaged with their customers?
So it's very simple. It's the ones that are still engaged with them on social media. It's the ones that are still kind of putting out that message and letting their audience know that they're still present and they're still here and they're there for them. They're very present and still engaged. And that's how you could tell the difference. Because there's a lot of brands right now that haven't posted anything on social media and their audience don't know where they are. And it's because they're still trying to figure out exactly how to come back and how to engage. But it's just being present. And I think, especially going on LinkedIn and going on social media, when you still see the brand still engaging with their audience and still there for them, and just kind of like the language that they're using, that's how we've been able to tell which brands are still, wanting to create experiences for
Yeah, I
that.
think anecdotally, I was listening to something where there was a leader from the creative agency side who was actually sharing that those brands that actually stay engaged during times of recessions like this
Hmm.
will actually come out in a much stronger position after that recession.
Yeah.
Um, do you agree with that
Oh, I
general
absolutely agree.
thesis?
I think any brands that are kind of thinking smart right now and thinking fast and still figuring out creative ways to engage are the ones that are going to win at the end, because we're not going to remember the brands that didn't say anything. We're going to remember that they didn't really have a message. They didn't really figure out creative ways to engage with me. So I think they will be left behind, and the brands that, are creating these cool ways to engage will be the winners at the end.
Well, for the older generation, I guess like myself, we refer to them not as memes or gifs, but as jingles. But there's something powerful about this notion of connecting visual cues with sound, and
Yes.
how strong the recall is, cognitive recall. So it does work, and it is actually very powerful.
Yeah, you know what? I think that a visual and a sound kind of creates the perfect brand story. And that's kind of what we like to create at GIF Out Loud. Is any experience that we create, we want it to become a shareable content that conveys your brand story. So whether that's like a fun visual, a fun GIF that your guests are creating, and then the sound that kind of really resonates with them and kind of, conveys what your brand really is. I think that's the perfect brand story for people to kind of consume your brand.
Super. So on that note, how can brands learn more about your work?
So you could check out my website at gifsoutloud.com. It's GIFS outloud.com.
So today I've been joined by Chynna Morgan, who is the founder of GIF Out Loud. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you.